So good day everyone, I am Josel Bahia and today I'm going to discuss about the nursing care of a family with a preschool child, and that is the page 832. So nursing care of a family with a preschool child. So the developmental task of the preschool period is learning initiative versus guilt, or learning how to do things such as drawing, building objects from blocks, or playing dress up. So the preschool period traditionally includes the years 3 to 5 years old. Although physical growth slows considerably during this period, personality and cognitive growth continue at a rapid rate. So, most children ani nga age kay they want to do things for themselves, like they choose their own clothing, pagsuot og sinina nga sila lang, mukaon lang sad nga sila lang, and then wash their own hair and so forth. So, kanang at this age sad ang mga bata kay they are curious of experience, kanang they are curious kung sige pang sulti sa ilaha ganyan. Just for example, kanang ang bata is kanang nag-touch sa usa ka outlet and then nakurintihan siya, and then the next day is kanang di na siya mo touch atong outlet just because ang katong nga experience is maka-harm sa iyaha. So that's it. So setting limits protects children from harming themselves or other while participating in all the interesting experiences available to them. So, as parents, kailangan po kanang mag-set og boundaries para kanang kung asa taman ang bata magdula og unsa dapat adulaon sa mga bata. At for mo tong para katong example na kagaina, kay possible man gud kung kanang pasagdaan sa mother lang ang kanang pagdula sa mga bata, possible nga maka-harm to sa ilaha. Possible. Okay. Next is physical growth. A definite change in body contours occur during this preschool years. The wide leg height, prominent lordosis kanang pagbakho, and the protuberant abdomen kanang pagdako sa tiyan of the toddler mag-change na siya into slimmer, taller, and much more childlike proportion na siya. Then contour changes are also definite that future body type. For kanang ectomorphic body build, which is mo na siyang slim body build na siya, and then the endomorphic body build, which is large body build. Then kani at this age kay becomes a part na siya katong mga magibang mention is maklaro na siya at this age. So weight, height, body mass index, and head circumference. So weight gain is slight during the preschool years. The average child gains only about 4.5 pound or 2 kilogram a year. So height gain is minimal during this period, only 2 to 3.5 inches or the 6 to 8 centimeters. So ang children at this age kay kanang when it comes to their appetite, good kay at the same lang gihapon sa katong previous years of age nila when it comes to their appetite. So next is the teeth. Children generally have all 20 of their deciduous teeth by 3 years of age. Preserving these teeth is important because they hold the positions for the permanent teeth as the child grows larger. So I will not explain this one further because we all know naman diba that children generally have all 20 of their deciduous teeth by 3 years of age. So if I'm not mistaken, Mr. Walla already discussed this one during in our first year in BSN. So let's move on to the developmental milestone. So each year during the preschool period marks as a major step forward in gross motor, the fine motor, and the language development. For the gross motor, it pertains to siya sa mga skill involving the large muscle movements. For the fine motor pod is independence in smaller but equally significant matters na siya sa mga bathers, such as the opening of doors, the zipping the zippers, brushing the teeth, and so on. So egocentrism, or perceiving that one thoughts and needs are better or more important than those of others, is strong during the preschool period. Preschoolers cannot believe that not everyone know facts they know. So 4 to 5 years old, I'm so sorry, di maguna makita ang kanang kuan. Okay, language 2. Okay. egocentrism is okay na. 4 and 5-year-old children enjoy participating in mealtime conversation and can describe an incident from their day in great detail. So, makabantay mo sa mga bata nga when they are mag-tell sila story sila mga mother or di kayo sa mga older pa nila is the way sila magsulti is detail kaayo, and then once again with action and sound effects sila magstorya. So that's it, the language development. Let's move on to the play. The preschooler do not need many toys because with an imagination keener than it will be at any other time in life. They enjoy games that use imitation, such as pretending they are teacher, cowboy or cowgirl, firefighter, or store clerk. So as you can see, ang mga bata nga after they are watching that movie, just like mga cartoon, mga ganyan god, then after nila mag-watch makabantay mo kay, they are pretending as one of those characters kailang natanaw, like parang Power Rangers, pretend na sila nga sila tong violet, sila tong pula, sila tong blue, yellow sa na Power Rangers. So ang mga preschooler kay they are more pretending as one of those characters than needing so many toys. So that's how the preschooler plays at this age. So let's move on to the emotional development. So children change in a great deal in their ability to understand their world and how they relate to other people during preschool years. So for the emotional development, preschoolers start to understand who they are and what they are feeling and what to expect when they are interacting with others. So it is developmental of being able to explore and engage with the environment and the experience, manage and express emotion. So let's move on to the initiative. The development task of the preschool age child is to achieve sense of initiative versus guilt. Motong giyon katong introduction ako. Then children will develop sense of initiative too. So to gain sense of initiative, preschooler need exposure to a wide variety of experience and play materials so they can learn as much as about how things work as possible. So ang mga bata kailangan nila wide exposure para makita to nilang actual ang ginabuhat sa mga TV lang na ilang makita. Just for example, soroy nimo sila sa mga zoo animal, mga amusement park daw. Makita nila ang mga actual ginabuhat kung sa magkaon ng animals, god. Then unsay actual nga the ways na magtanaw sa mga rides, ganyan god. So in that case kay maka-create sila once lang may nga ingana dai, so maka-ano sila, then maka-create sila mga thoughts nga makapangutana sila sa mga other nga ingana dai ingana. So in that way maka-create sila sense of initiative. So let's move on to the preschooler. Preschooler tend to have such an active imagination that they need little guidance in this type of play. They smear both hands into clay, a finger paint, and create extensively what they make may not be recognizable. So when they're playing a clay, kay mana sila maoning dog pero kita nga nagtan-aw, kita nga nagganang kuan sila hakay di ta kasabot. Just because sila mo ganabuhat sila, they are more imagination god grabe sila grimstic, no? Char lang. So mao to sila yung nakasabot kung sa gibuhat nila. So as kita nga older, magtan-ortod sila di nakasabot pero sila nakasabot sila kung sa gibuhat nila. So let's go to the imitation. Imitating the action of the people around them peak during preschool age. Role modeling this way should be fun and does not have to be accurate. So children generally imitate those activities best that they see their parents performing at home. Preschoolers should be also introduced to their parents' work environment. So, kung ang parents good, makita sila nga unsa ginabuhat ay nagdula ang mga bata, then makita sa parents nga unsa ginabuhat sa ginabuhat sa mga bata. Just for example, ang mga bata nagdula pulis then nakita sa parents nga tama ang ginabuhat sa bata nga ingan ang trabaho sa pulis ganyan no. Instead nga badlungon sa parents i-correct niya nga instead nga i-correct ni ay kanang iingon niya mga bata nga kanang di dapat accurate ang ginabuhat pero dapat i-enjoy sa mga bata kung sa kanang pagdula at this age kanang sa ilang edad dili na kanang accurate pa kad basig makaharm sa ilaha. And then preschoolers should be also introduced to their parents' works environment para maka-learn in that way man god kung i-introduce mo mga bata nga sa ikaw parents nga sa imong work then maka-learn nga pud like another nga word good or another things nga naa sa palibot sa imong kanang office. Just for example makita slag printer and then mag-ask sila sa imuha parents nga maunsa na ganyan do ikaw iingon nimo do maka-create gyapon siya ganang kuan god gatong giingon ako gaina nga kanang participating the conversation sa mga bata ganyan. And then fantasy, toddlers cannot differentiate between fantasy and reality. So they become engrossed in fantasy. Role are no longer themselves. Such intense involvement in play is part of magical thinking, which is active at this age. So at this age po daw, ang mga bata, ang mga preschooler kay very active when it comes to imagination. So and dapat po ang parents kay kanang i-guide pud nila ilang anak when it comes to magdula and sa mga imagination kay basig ang mga bata just for example ang mga bata nagtan-aw mga kanang sabagay magic Harry Potter and then pagkaugma or pagka human lagtan then nagdula sila then basig magreklamo o mahilak mga bata just because lahi ilang natanaw sa ilang kuan kay naggunis lag kayo wala nag-istorya sila tong mga siktom simpra sa mga Harry Potter katong ginaingon katong mga expecto patronom ganyan god and then basig maghilak just because wala dili pareha ang kanang result sa ilang natanaw. Dapat po as parents kuan jud ka guidance sa mga bata. Then the next is the Oedipus and Electra complexes. An Oedipus complexes refers to the strong emotional attachment a preschool boy demonstrates toward his mother. An Electra complex is the attachment of the preschool girl to her father. A daughter demonstrating this complex might prefer to always sit beside her father at the table, or she may ask for her father to tuck her at night. So kanang para dali masabtan atong ginatawag gud ani karon kay kanang kuan daddy's girl or mommy's girl. So mao na ang Electra complex is that Electra complex mao na siya ang kanang a boy kanang mas ang boy kay kanang mas tuol siya sa iyang mother, so mama's boy, and then pag ang daughter is tuol siya sa iyang father is mo na siyang tawag daddy's girl ganyan. So let's move on to the gender roles kay masabda naman siya dara sa taas. And then the gender roles, preschoolers begin to be aware of the difference between sexes and so need to be introduced to both gender roles. Encourage single parents to plan opportunities for their children to spend some time with adults other than themselves. So many parents do not want their child grow up as they did with fixed gender role as a result of stereotyping. So dapat pod ang parents kay magganang for example nasa sa balay then na-stay ang parents kana sa duha kana ang babae lalaki. Dapat ang parents kay kabalo mo introduce kung unsay trabaho sa kanang boy para nang ang father mo na ang father nga kanang para nang kanang manghugas og plato, di ba? Not all man jud nga kanang girls ang kanang manghugas og plato. Pero dapat ang boy ang father or ang parents kabalo mo introduce na gawain na siya sa mga babae, gawain na siya sa mga lalaki para kung ikaw parents dili ka gusto magkanang ana ang mga anak nimo or siga ba ganyan. So let's move on to socialization. So in socialization, because 3 years old are capable of sharing their play with the other children very much. more agreeably than do toddlers, which makes the preschool period a sensitive and a critical time for socialization. So although 4 years old continues to enjoy playgroups, they may become involved in argument more than they did at 3 years of age. So katong pagka, itong napasli sa 3 years old, it's more kanang dula pa sa mga playmates nila, sa mga kanang ka-level nila, kanang kaedad nila. Pag abot sa 4 years old, kay kanang paabot sa 4 years old, mag-continue gihapon ang play groups nila. They become involved in argument na, and then more than they did at 3 years of age, especially as they become more certain of their role in group. Pag abot sa 5 years old, ma-create ang mga best friendship nila, ganyan, mga magka-close na gumayo. Then, pag-abot sa cognitive development, according to Piaget 1969, cognitive development is still pre-operational. I'm so sorry, nabugo sa lamisa, guys. Dagkag ka ng sasaw. And then, by 3 years of age, although children during this period also enter a second phase called developmental children learning by asking question, like intuitive children show a style of thinking he called centration. Preschooler are not aware of property of the conversation. So ganyan. Let's move on to the moral and spiritual development. Children of preschool age determine right from wrong based on their parents' rules because they have little understanding of the rationale for those rules, even whether the rules are consistent. Then preschoolers begin to have elemental concept of spirituality if they have been provided some form of religious training. Then children at this age enjoy the security of religious holidays and religious rituals such as prayers before meals, because these rituals offer them the same reassurance and security as a family nursery rhyme read over and over. So makabantay ko sa mga bata. So makabantay ta sa ubang bata ka when kanang kung ang parents man god or ang kanang mga magulang niya is kanang more religious, kay pag-abot din na katong bata is na adapt niya pagka-religious sa parents niya. Pag kanang then kanang when they are eating good, then kanang before sila mag-eat, mag-pray, ma-adapt to sa mga bata. And then another example is kanang when it comes to kanang moral and spiritual development, kay kung makita gud sa katong kang bata nag-grow siya sa usa ka kanang it's more religious and grabe ka kanang butan nga parents, and then nakita niya nga na duha ka bata nag-away or na isa ka bata nga gilabay niya batuang tong bata isa, and then badlungon to niya, and then mo ana siya kanang mali mo ginabuhat, din mo ana tumutubag tong isa bata nga nang mali akong gibuhat ana mo, then mo ana tong isa ka bata nga atong religious, kay mao mo gitudlo sa akong parents na ganyan mali ang maglabay bato sa mga bata or mali ang mangaway. So ma-adapt jud sa bata ang kanang unsay binuhatan sa mga parents. So let's move on to the planning and implementation for the health promotion of a preschooler. So preschoolers are old enough to begin take responsibility of their own actions. So of course na mga kanang kuan kanang magpagbuot-buot gud sa mga bata nga ako'y mubuhat ani ganyan at this age. So promoting preschooler safety as a preschooler broaden their horizon safety issues must also widen by age 4. Children may project an attitude of the independence and the ability to take care of their own needs. So kabalo na sila unsaon pag kanang kuan good at this age, kabalo na sila unsaon pag kanang take care of sa ilang mga kailanganon, pero dapat pod butangan gyapon guidance sa parents mo jud na guidance good. And then the keeping children safe, strong and free. The preschooler years are not too early a time to educate children about potential threat of harm from strangers or who to adjust bullying behavior. So samtang bata pa as parents kanang i-educate na nimo ang kanang imong anak kung saan pag ganang when it comes to threat of harm that strangers or who to address a bullying behavior. So next is the motor vehicle and bicycle safety, of course. Nakabasa ko na. So kani at least dapat diri ikaw parents kabalo ka mo kanang mo ano god mo mo kanang mo hatag og mo encourage og safety nga pag kanang pag kung kung mag-ride og bicycle ang mga bata dapat ikaw parents kabalo ka mo kanang kuan lang nga kanang kabalo ka mo tawag ano kabalo ka mo encourage sila sa mga safety nga dapat buhaton para dili mga ligsan. I mean mo promote og mga mga safety para di sila matumba or mabangga ganiyan. And dapat pod ka nang kung maggusto ka ikaw parents dapat ka nang again mo set gihapon kag boundaries kung asa man magdula ang mga bata kay para di sila malayo sila mabalay. Ganyan. Then next, promoting the nutritional health of a preschooler. Like the toddler and the preschool year are not a time of fast growth. So preschool children are not likely to have ravenous appetite. So dili kayo gakaon ng mga preschooler pra na mga food nga kanang kuan gugulay. So makabantay mo ang mga bata kay laton pa mga gulay para makamukaon lang sila. And then the preschool nutrition requirements. So as with all age groups, food selected for a preschooler should include the variety. Next is the vegetarian diet. The vegetarian diet is usually colorful and therefore appeals to preschoolers. Vegetables, fruits, and grains are so healthy snack food for them. So, ikaw parents encourage to your children nga kanang pakaunon ang mga batang mga vegetable, mga fruits kay they are kanang maupunish lang mga healthy snack food para sa mga bata. So promoting the developmental of the preschooler and daily activities. So the preschooler has often mastered this basic skills need for most self-care activities including feeding, dressing, washing, and toothbrushing. So ganyan. Na-mention ako na siya giina about sa kanang pagkanang dressing, pag-washing, pag-toothbrushing. So, let's move on to the dressing. So, many 3 years old and most 4 years old can dress themselves except for the difficult buttons, although conflict may occur over what the child will wear. So, anyone who understands preschooler appreciate that the experiences children gain in being able to select their own clothing is worth more than a perfect appearance by adult standards. So, ganyan. So, when it comes to dressing yun, kay usahay yun magka-conflict yun ang bata o ang mother. Labi na gana na yung mga lakaw din ang usa ka bata is magtuman kung unsay gusto niya suoton, pero as parents jud kay kabalo pug kamo kanang sabot sa mga bata para kung ni mangutan na nganong kana yung gusuot inon lang limo as a parents na mo na yung gusto ganyan. So para wa na yung mga conflict nga mahitabo as sa parents og sa anak. Let's move on to the sleep. May toddlers who go through a typical negative phase resist taking naps no matter how tired they are. Preschoolers, however, are more aware of their needs when they are tired. They are often curl up on a couch or solve hair and fall asleep. So, sa ang preschooler at this age, ang preschooler kanang kabalo sila kung when they are tired good kanang kabalo sila kung mapakawalay ba sila og dili, pero nadyo uban mga preschoolers nga kanang na mga preschooler nga kanang bisag unsa lang sila kakapoy dili jud sila magkanang kuan, dili sila mo pahulay o dili sila matulog maudto ganyan. So ang uban sa toddlers kay pag kanang once na maghilak na sila and then na sila sa salog maghilak kanang after na pagkataod wala na ka madunggan nga tingog just because ikapoy na sila hilak nakatulog na sila sa ganyan. So let's move on to the exercise. The preschool period is an active phase, so preschool plays tend to vigorous. Housing helps relieve tensions and should be allowed as long as it does not become destructive ganyan. Then let's move on to the hygiene. Preschooler can wash and dry their hands adequately if the faucet is regulated for them, so they do not scald themselves with the hot water. Then children this age are not paragons of the neatness and may not clean their hands thoroughly. Preschooler do not clean their fingernails or ears well either, so these areas often need touching up by a parent or older siblings. So ikaw pod parents kabalo pod kamo kanang mutan-aw sa mga kanang lawas sa bata kung hugaw na ba or dili, kung kailangan balimpyuhan or dili, para dili pod kanang yagit tan-aw ng imong anak, ganyan. So let's move on to the promoting healthy family functioning. An important role of a preschooler parents is to respect creativity. Part of encouraging creativity is encouraging vocabulary building. One way for parents to do this is to read aloud to their children. So let's move on to the discipline. Discipline preschooler have definite opinions on things such as what they want to eat, where they want to go, and what they want to wear. And these opinions may bring them into oppositions with the parents, of course. Although the techniques has come, critics allow parents to discipline behavior without using a physical punishments and allows children to learn a new way of behavior without stress. So, first is kanang, again, ako to na-mention gaina nga, when it comes to dressing good, kay kanang magka-usay jud magka-conflict ang mga bata. And then, pag-abot sa disiplina, dili nimo sila kanang, instead nga kanang, bunalan nimo kanang magbuhat kag laing way para dili nimo sila instead nga bunalan physical nga pagbunal ni physical punishment, magbuhat kag laing way para iingon nga mali ilang ginabuhat para di po kanang wala stress sa mga bata go, dili po para maka-cause og trauma kung magsige kag kanang palo sa mga bata, ganyan. So the parental concern associated with the preschool period, a number of common health problems and fears usually arise during a preschool year. So of course dili na po magsugod ang mga hadlok-hadlok sa mga bata. So one fact about the parents kanagong actually sa parents jud naguna ang pamakak. Like for example god kanang dili magtuman ang mga bata, and then dili magtuman ang mga bata, and then atikon sa mga parents nga ganyan hala ni wakwak dara. So mao na siyang isa ka example nga ang parents is ang una nagtulog pamakak sa mga bata, ganyan. Next is the common health problems of the preschooler. So the mortality of the children during the preschool years is low and becoming lower every year as more infectious diseases are preventable, such as the cold and ear infection, the respiratory infections, the gastrointestinal disturbance, vomiting, and diarrhea. So possible siya kanang common dyan siya mga hitabo sa mga bata dyan kay para na mag-attend og party, din magsakit ang tiyan just because taghan kay gipang kaon. Ganyan. So, let's move on to the common fears of the preschooler, because preschooler imagination are so achieved. This leads to a number of fears such as the fears of dark, mutilation or separations, or the abandonment. So, although most of these fears can be handled by promoting, by comforting from parents in some children, fears are so intense that they need therapy. So, kanalabi magka-trauma na yun na grabe na yung kahadlok sa mga bata, ganyan. Kanidre sa fear of dark. The tendency to fear the dark is an example of a fear heightened by a child's vivid imagination. A stuffed toy by daily light becomes a threatening monster at night. So children awaken screaming because of nightmares. They may be reluctant to go to bed or go to sleep by themselves unless a light is left turned on by a parents. It sits nearby. So ang uban mangguro no kay magganang ubang bata kay nasa kanang silang mama sa kilid silang mama matulog. Then kani sa fear of dark manggod kanang ang bata dapat ang bata, kung gusto ikaw as a parents, kung gusto nimo ganang naay kanang independence ang bata, so maghatag kasi another kwarto, dapat naka-turn on jud ang kanang suga jud para dili mahadlok ang mga bata kay possible manggod gikatong for example kanang mga dulaan pagabuntag lami kitan awon, and then pagagabi makita to sa bata labi nagngit-ngit ang kwarto, di makita to sa mga bata ang reflection due to active imagination, mahadlok jud siya mo singgit jud siya, and ma-create jud kanang mo to magkakuan siya fear of dark, hadlok sa kangit-ngit, just because sa mga active imagination na na-create siya nguna-huna, ganyan. So fear mutilation is also a sign of significant preschool age, as revealed by the intense reactions of a preschooler to even a simple injury such as falling and scraping a knee or having a needle inserted for an immunization. So makabantay po mga bata is mahadlok sila ganang immunization kay again ang parents jud ang magkanang buhat-buhat og kanang pamakak sa mga bata para nang pag dili jud pud maminaw mga bata ala injukan ka sa doktor dira ganyan mao pong kanang due to basta magkanang time na pud mag-immunization ganyan kay mahadlok na pud ang mga bata mo kanang magpa-inject ganyan kay hadlok naman sa parents before wala pag i-injectan ganyan. So pag abot sa time nga mag-inject na mo to mahadlok na gyud. So fear of separation of abandonment. So fear of separation is yet another major of concern for preschooler. Their sense of time is still so distorted that they cannot be comforted by assurance. Also labi na kanang ang mga bata pag na maligya I mean nangumpra na grocery ganyan then mahadlok jud ang bata pag mo ang parents nga nakdri sa kanang kay basig biyaan ang imagine sa bata basig biyaan siya ra isa rin daghang kag tao ganyan mahadlok jud kanang separation ang bata sa ilang mama ganyan. Next is the behavior variation. So, a combination of a keen imagination and immature reasonings result in a number of common behavior variation in the preschoolers. So, there is a tall telling tales. Let's move on to the tall behavior variation. Tall telling tales. As teaching stories to make them seem interesting and is a phenomenon frequently encountered in a preschooler. So, parents may be concerned that all tales of these natures can lead to a chronic lying of supported. Kanang ginaingon na ako ba nga kanang dapat dili po kanang ang parents rin mag-una again. Ang parents is one of the siya pinakauna nga nagtudlo og ganang pamak sa mga bata. Dapat i-avoid na sa mga parents ganyan. So, ang uban man gud gahig mga ulo ang mga anak. So, as mother, so mo to laing way sa mga mother para motuman na jud ang mga anak ganyan. So sorry daghang mga sasaw langaw. So imaginary friends. So many preschoolers have imaginary friend who plays with them. Although imaginary friends are normal creative part of the preschool years and can invented children who are surrounded by real playmates as well as those who have few friends. Parents may find them disconnecting ganyan. So kanang ang ubang bata magkanang nasle mga imaginary friends good nga ganyan ganyan pag kanang pagbilin og isa ka plat matingala ang bata kinsa man si Jake matingala ang parents kinsa man si Jake ganyan. So dapat bantayan gyud na sa mga parents ganyan ang mga ingana nga mga incident ganyan. Next is difficulty sharing. Sharing a concept that first comes to be understood around the age of 3 years. Assure parents that sharing is a difficult concept to grasp, and as with the miscall, preschoolers need practice to understand and learn it. Ganyan. When it comes to sharing. So regression. Some preschooler generally in relation to stress revert to behavior the previous outgrow, such as some sucking, pagsubsub sa kanin, negativism, and the inability to separate from their parents. So, help parents to understand that regression in these circumstances is kanang normal lang siya para sa mga bata, and a troublesome sucking is a little different from the parents' reaction to stress. So, it is easier for them to accept and understand. So, I think kanang makuan na magyapon sa mga bata, mawala ra man gihapon na. Pero dapat i-guide gyapon sa mga parents ang ginabuhat sa mga bata about sa mga ingana. So let's move on to the siblings rivalry. So jealousy of a brother or sister may first become evident during the preschool period because this is the first time children have enough vocabulary to express how they feel, and partly because preschoolers are more aware of a family rules and how responsibilities this also time when new brother or sister is born mo tong yung nag-iina sa emotional development ka diri at this age yung mag-start ang mga pag-express sa mga emotion nila. So, and pag-abot sa sibling rivalry, dapat nagapon ang mga parents nga mugabay sa ilaha nga. Dapat pantay lang gihapon ang kanang pagtrato. Walay pinalabi ganyan para walay magsalos nga anak, dapat equal lang jud. So preparing a new sibling, introduction of a new sibling is such a major happening that parents need to take special steps to be certain that preschoolers will be prepared. So dapat ang parents pud kabalo mo ingon nga nana siya another brother or sister para dili pud makanagong kanang shock ang kanang kuan nga sa una ako mas kanang mas nasa iya ang kanagong attention sa mother or father din pag abot sa children sa isa ka kanang baby na to anak just because mas focus mo jud dapat ay mas focus man kanang jud usahay dito ang kanang kuan kay bag-o mang anak. So dapat kana ang case is kanang kabalo ka as parents, kabalo ka mo explain nga ingana na kay bagong baby natay bagong kanang kuan kanang igsuon ganyan, kabalo ka mo introduction sa bagong baby sa imong preschooler, ganyan. So, sex education during the preschool age, the children become acutely aware of the difference between boys and girls. So, possibly, this is a normal progression in development, and possibly, this may be the first time they exposed to the genitalia of the opposite sex. As they watch while a new brother or sister has a diaper change, they see other children using the bathroom or at a preschool, or they see parents nude. So kabalo ka, dapat parents yung kabalo ka mo educate, kabalo ka mo ingon sa kuan nga lahi na siya ganang kuan, babae ka lalaki ganyan, kabalo ka mo kanang kuan sa imong anak nga mo introduction mo ingon ngo kung unsa kalahian sa babae sa lalaki ganyan, pwede siya maglibog ba. So let's move on to the choosing a preschool or a child care center. A school or a child care experience is helpful for preschooler because prior exposure seems to have positive effect on a social development. The terms child care center or the preschooler are often used interchangeably, so parents cannot depend on the name of a school define its structure. Dapat put ang parents kabalo siya mo pili kung asa ang school na dapat si anak kay basig pa kanang basig mag kanang tinanagi enroll sa parents ang anak niya sa school din wala kabulang parents dahil nga katong school is makanang diligod siya di siya happy dito nga school just because daghang bully siya, dapat kabalo siya mo pili ganyan. The preparing of a child for school. At the end of a preschool period, children begins a formal school experience. As they enter kindergarten, parents may wonder whether their child is old enough for this, especially as child birthday is in the late summer of early fall. So, let's move on to the broken fluency. Developing language is such a complicated process that children from 2 to 6 years old 6 years of age typically have some speech difficult. A child may begin to repeat words or syllables. Labi nang makadungog sila kanang bag-o silang pandungog. And then katong nga syllable, so katong nga words magbalik-balik silang mind and then kuan na pod. So dapat aware pod ang parents sa kanang when they are cursing, dapat dili jud sila magkungkung labi nag kanang parents kay kanang magsigig curse, dapat di sila magsigig curse ato bangan sa bata kay kanang katong words is magkuan sa una sa bata and then sulti na pud niya sa lain ganyan. So let's move on to the last page or last slides of my PPT, the bathroom language. Many preschoolers imitate the vocabularies of their parents of older children in the family, so during this time that they incorporate swear words into vocabularies if they hear this use. So moto bathroom language kanang pag makadungog sila mga word nga bagos lang pandungog or ganang ganahan sila tong words magbalik-balik or ilang ka nang ipang sulti-sulti pod ganyan, ilang kanang isulti pero wala sa kabalo unsa to siya nga word ganyan. nadunggan lang nila mo po ilang gisulti ganyan. So concerns of the family with a preschooler with unique needs, so learning how to do things when you have physical or cognitive limitations can be very frustrating. So learning how to do things when you have physical or cognitive limitations can very frustrating. So uniqueness. So let's move on to the nutrition and the preschooler with special needs. So experience with the eating help to reinforce a sense of initiative in preschooler labi nag na mga special needs. It's very kanang nadyo ka ng imong kanang imong attention na dito sa mga anak labi nag na mga special needs ganyan. So that is my report about the nursing care with a preschool child. So that's it, miss, and that's it, everyone. Thank you for watching. Bye.